Okay, hi everybody. I'm starting right on time this time. Facebook changed some things up and confused me. So I will start with my name is Melanie Sibley, and I am a licensed clinical social worker in private practice here in Champaign, Illinois. And I have felt called to stream to Facebook Lives during this. I keep wanting to be like national crisis, but really it's a global crisis. So during this pandemic, um, because I wanted to reach out to as many people as I could to help them with their mental health. So this week, I'm kind of finding my way. Yesterday, I talked about anxiety. Today, I will probably touch on a couple other issues. Tomorrow, I won't be going live because I was smart enough to schedule moving my office luckily, it's not a big move from here. I'm on the fifth floor of the Robeson building to the fourth floor. So tomorrow, I will be mid packing move. And then Friday I will go live again at 12:15. If um I hear a lot of response about I'd rather have it at a decent different time, I'm absolutely open to that, but I think lunchtime for those that are working is useful, and so far nobody's asked me to do it differently. Also though, if you have questions, comments, if there are other things you want me to touch on than what I'm talking about, please hit me up. You can. Actually, I'm going to go ahead and put in this is my work info, right? But you can email me or call me and text me on my work number. I will say that I've had to set some boundaries for myself. So I have decided that I will devote 9 to 6 Monday through Friday to work. After 6 o'clock, I need to shut off for my own mental health. And I suspect on the weekends, I need to really shut off for my own mental health. But 9 to 6, Monday through Friday. If you contact me, I will reply as soon as possible. Okay, so if you questions, comments, things you want me to address, please hit me up. You've got my email, you've got my phone number. You can message me, you can leave comments on my Facebook page or even on this video, whatever. Just let me know, and I am happy to address whatever you want to hear me talk about. And I think the first thing I really need to address is that whatever you're experiencing, whatever your feelings are, they're valid. So I see a lot of people trying to minimize other people's experiences, and I think I understand why, but I also don't think it's necessarily useful. So it's okay to be scared. It's okay to have anxiety. It's okay for your thoughts to be spinning constantly. It's okay to feel anger, grief, all of these emotions. Like, this is such a weird, unusual, I've never even imagined something like this time, that to have really strong, icky, negative emotions during this time is understandable. Some of us are afraid of getting sick. Some of us are afraid for our friends and family getting sick. I mean, some people are afraid of dying, and that's legit. Some people are afraid for their finances, right? I just like driving to my office, and I'll be clear, like I'm at my office, but I'm not seeing anybody. So I'm not at risk, in my opinion, and I'm not putting anybody at risk. But driving here today and seeing the streets empty was just heartbreaking. So my hearts go out truly to all of us that are struggling financially, health wise, everything during this time. I meant to say this yesterday and I forgot. I want to give you a big thank you to everybody that's on the front lines that are still out there doing their jobs. Because I remember being that person, and I'm very fortunate that I'm not now. So, to the healthcare workers, thank you, because we couldn't survive this without you. To the people at the grocery stores and the gas stations and the delivery drivers, my Instacart delivery person, thank you also very much, because we could not get through this without you still putting yourself out there and putting yourself at risk. So thank you for that. Um, oh, community mental health workers. How could I almost have forgotten, right? So the people working at Rosencrantz, the people, I have friends at the VA, all of you, I want to thank you also. First responders, cops, firefighter, all of you guys, ambulance, all of you guys. I just, Like, I want you to know that you are seen and you are appreciated, because in some ways, even though this is difficult for me, I'm very fortunate, and we would not be able to get through this without you guys still being out there. So thank you. Okay, so it's curious. We'll get into what I want to talk about in a little while. I kind of had something planned out, and I think I've changed my mind at the last minute because I think I have something more useful to talk about. But first, because it's useful to have knowledge. Like, I'm a big nerd, so I love knowledge. I love understanding things, but also we need real life skills to help us manage our emotions, right? And so I will do container for those of you that already know what that is at the end of the session. It's not a session, sorry, at the end of the Facebook Live. Um, and I think I'll do that again Friday. And then next week, I will teach you a brand new one. But I want to start this with a different exercise. And this is going to be a breathing exercise. And I'm kind of a little rebel. So if somebody's like, Melanie, do this, and I don't understand why, and I don't think it's useful, I'm like, oh yeah, sure. And in my head, I'm like, fuck you, make me. So I always explain why before I ask people to do something. So when we're talking about all these icky emotions, but especially, and I talked a little bit about this yesterday, especially anxiety, stress, anger, all the things that are activating our amygdala back here, telling us we're in danger, and then amping our body up to react to danger. One of the most useful things we can do, or one of the many useful things, really, I think there's a lot of skills we can do, is to bring our bodies back down. And yesterday I talked about how exercise does that. But deep breathing, and you can't see, but deep breathing down from belly breathing is what I call it, right? So breathing from your belly helps lower your blood pressure, it slows your breathing, it slows down your heartbeat, and it just kind of helps settle you. And so I think I want to teach this exercise. And one of the reasons I want to teach it is because it helps ground and anchor people. And I'll do this first. I still hate doing Facebook Lives. I feel you can see when I start talking fast and I get nervous. So I think, to be honest, doing a 4-7-8 breathing exercise will help ground me and settle me so that I'm more present. But I think it will also help settle any of you that are listening that are spun up here and your thoughts are going and you're not thinking well. I think it will help you settle, which will allow you to be able to hear what I'm saying more effectively. So that's why we're doing it. I will also say that I learned this exercise, like, fair play, this is not mine in any way, shape, or form, back when I was working on my master's degree and I was interning at the Pavilion at the local psychiatric hospital. I was working with the kids, with the adolescents, and every time they were getting ready to get discharged, I would ask them, what is one good thing that you learned? And I think it was me as much for my own learning and knowledge, like, what are you getting out of this? What's helping and what isn't working? And the one thing they kept telling me over and over and over was 4-7-8 breathing. And like, they're teenagers, so I don't necessarily always believe them. And so sometimes they would give me this as a throwaway. I'd be like, no, really? Does that help? Tell me the truth. I need to know for reals. And they're like, no, really, this is amazing. This is the best thing that I learned since I've been here. And so because of that, I started teaching it, and then I started practicing it, and now I teach it to almost everybody. So 4-7-8 breathing. And I will talk you through, I will explain it, and then I will talk everybody through one time, and then I will let us all practice independently because I can't regulate somebody else's numbers for them. A couple other things before we do this. I will tell you that what the numbers are don't matter. Like, it really, right? It could be 4-7-8, it could be 2-6-12. I taught this to a friend of mine many years ago. And like a couple months later, she was like, Melanie, I used that 6-9-12 breathing and it was amazing. I'm like, that's awesome, but it's 4-7-8. She's like, oh yeah, okay, fine. And then like a month or a few weeks later, she's like, Melanie, I got so mad at my husband, but then I did that 4-12-15 breathing and it settled me and I didn't yell at him. It was awesome. And I started to be like, and then I heard what she was saying. And what she was saying was that it worked. So whatever the numbers are, it doesn't matter. 3 things. First, as with all these grounding exercises, anchoring exercises, whatever you call it, as much as possible, don't be like stretched out, but sit up straight. You sit up strongly. And because how we hold ourselves really affects how we feel and how we think. So a nice, strong, but relaxed posture. Feet firmly planted on the ground. And again, you can't see, but breathe from your belly, breathe from down low. And there's research that says that belly breathing, breathing from your abdomen, is relaxing. So this is actually truly an effective skill to use. I will also say, depending on how spun up you are, how racy your thoughts are, it's useful not just to count, but to visualize the numbers. Because if you think about it, if you're spinning, if you're like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, if you're visualizing numbers and you're counting, then it stops you from spinning like this. It puts just a little bit of distance between you and whatever the icky stuff is. Okay, so this is the how and this is the why. And what you do is extremely easy. It's just from your belly, breathing in for the count of 4, holding for 5, 6, 7, out with a really slow 8 on a slow 8 count. So I will talk you through it the one time, and then normally I just look away and let my clients practice, and they tell me when they're done. This is not interactive like sessions. I think I'll just practice it a few times and trust that you guys practice it if you want to. If you don't, that's fine. And then we'll continue on. So it's breathing in, 2, 3, 4, hold, 6, 7, out, really slow 8. So I'm going to practice this. I'm going to do this a few times, and then you practice if you want, don't if you don't, and then we'll continue on. And I'm going to close my eyes because it's weird staring at a screen where I don't know who's seeing me. Okay, so I did that twice. If you use this, when you practice it, try and notice how your body reacts. And try and notice it settling. And you do this, there's no magic number, do it. I did it just twice because it was just weird being in a room with a screen doing this. Do it however many times you want. I noticed I could feel my heart racing because this isn't, I'm fine, but right, this is not comfortable. But I could also feel my shoulders drop, and I could feel my voice kind of soften a little bit, and I could feel myself settling in a little bit more. So just be mindful of whether or not this is effective. And I'll give you that too. Some people swear by this, think it's the best thing since sliced bread. Other people are like, Melanie, that's a load of shit. It didn't do anything for me. It's fine. Whatever it is, it is. So I have, I think, 2 things I want to talk about, and then I'm going to do container. But the first one is, and it's interesting because I've been thinking about this and unsure about whether or not to speak on it. And then I got on Facebook before this, and I was in a Facebook therapy group, and somebody else was talking about this exact same thing. And I took that as like, I don't know, a sign that this is what needs to be addressed today. So it's about our emotions and what we're feeling, but it's also about what I think of and what I've conceptualized, and it was beautiful seeing other therapists say yes, as grief regarding this entire crisis. And I think I'm going to speak for me, and hopefully this will help normalize for you. If not, that's fine too. But there's definitely been grief. I mean, everything changed so fast, right? So, and I keep saying this, Monday, a week ago, last Monday, I wasn't even fucking talking about COVID-19. I'm like, whatever, that's something over there, and it's just the media, and I don't even care. And then Tuesday, I started getting concerned. We started talking about it. Wednesday, I'm like, I think I might have to go to telehealth. By Wednesday night, the kids were told, go home, and you're probably not coming back. And so this has all happened. So our lives have literally, in my experience, in many ways, ground to a halt. And everything we know has changed. I will remind you this is temporary. This will pass and we will get through it, but that it's also a lot to process. And so I do think there is real grief behind this. I'll speak for myself. Last week, towards the end of the week, when I was starting to come to grips with what was happening, I was super angry. Oh my God, people, and I want you to be aware of this for yourself too. People were doing nothing. I was at some store and I don't know what it doesn't even matter. Something happened and I'm like, fuck them. What's wrong with people? And I was so angry. And I'm fortunate that I was able to recognize that that my emotions weren't in sync with the situation. And then it was anger. And that was my first inkling that maybe there was some grieving going on, not just for me, for my clients, for God, our poor community, for the world, but real grief. Um, and of course, the fear and the anxiety, the uncertainty. Uncertainty is just scary, and that's okay, right? So the fear and the uncertainty. And I'm actually going to pull out because I really liked what he said. So, sorry, my Facebook is blowing up as it so often does these days right now. Um, so this is what his name is John Dennis. So I'm going to give him props, but because I appreciate that he did this. He wrote about the 5 stages of COVID-19 grief. Denial, that was me a week ago Monday, right? I'm like, whatever, it's just media bullshit. Anger, that was me at the stores getting frustrated over nothing. And this was not because there wasn't toilet paper. This was something totally, it had nothing to do with nothing. Resistance, so I think there are still a lot of people in the resistance. It's fine, I'm still going to go eat in restaurants, I'm going to, whatever. And you could, so resistance is, I'm not going to change anything I'm doing, my life is going to stay the same. Fear, and I know I felt that fear also. And then acceptance. And let's do this. I think he forgot like sadness in there. So I know I felt the sadness. I've gone from fear to sadness to anger to acceptance, and it's not a straight linear line. And it's okay to feel all of those. What matters is that we don't get overwhelmed by our fear or by any of our difficult emotions. It's fine to feel them, but we need to manage them so we don't get overwhelmed. We need to manage them so that we don't stay frozen in them. And we need to manage them so that we don't take them out on other people. And that was when I was in my anger. That was, I'm just going to write, that was my sticking point, was for a moment I was taking it on other people. And that is just not acceptable. We're human, we're going to do it, but as soon as we catch it, then we need to accept it, acknowledge it, and hopefully make right with whoever it is that we hurt in the process. So I would love to hear, like, if you guys would comment in the future and tell me what you think about this idea of this COVID-19 grief, if you've been experiencing it, how you feel about it. And I'm going to be really fast. I'm going to check again because I don't know, right? I've seen in the past people have been hitting me up on Facebook and it hasn't shown up on my screen. So I want to see if that's happening. No, I don't think so. Okay. So that's fine. Okay, so I think, again, I want information. I want you to understand that it's okay to have your feelings, but I also want you guys to have real tools and techniques to use. So I'm going to talk today about what I've been struggling with since this all became real for me. And honestly, what I've been struggling with for the last 10 years, and that's sleep. So I already don't sleep well. And my thoughts have been racing enough. I've been caught up enough, and it's been hard enough to shut this all down in my mind that sleep has been a real struggle for me. And it's been a struggle for people around me also. So I thought it would be useful just to talk about some good sleep hygiene, some good habits, tips, and techniques. You guys are going to excuse me. As always, I have my little notes, and I thought it would be useful so I don't forget stuff. So some of these are going to be familiar to people that have watched my old Facebook groups because I talk about them for other reasons also. The first one is going to be routine. Our bodies like routine. They like knowing what time we're getting up. They like knowing what time we eat. They like knowing what time we go to sleep. So if you can get up at the same time, even though we don't have to, those of us that are staying home, if we can go to bed at the same time, even though we don't have to, that will increase the odds of sleeping. It won't do the trick completely, but at least will help. I will tell you my experiences of people that their sleep cycles flip, and I know people that do this, and I've had clients that do this. If all of a sudden they're staying up to 4 or 5, 6 o'clock in the morning and sleeping until 2 o'clock in the afternoon, that's a recipe for disaster. And that leads to even more disconnection than we're already experiencing. It leads to anxiety, and it is absolutely a huge contributor to depression. So as much as you can, and honestly, if you got kids at home, you need to keep them on a schedule too. So even if you don't do it for yourself, please do it for your kids. They need as much routine and as much structure during the scary time as possible. So getting up at about the same time, going to sleep at about the same time will at least help with sleep. Um, Another one that I talk about a lot because it helps in a lot of different areas. It helps with anxiety and depression, but it helps with sleep is exercise. So, as much as you can, right? Get some exercise. If you have a home gym, I'm jealous. If you want to sell me a treadmill, no, I'm joking. But if you have a home gym, that's amazing. I would not suggest, if any gyms are still open, going to them. That doesn't feel very safe. But we can always, like, we can walk, we can run, we can bike ride. You can, I don't know, take, if you got a small dog, use your dog for weights. Or if you got a gallon jug, I used to use those all the time. There's lots of ways that you can work out in your home. Work out and tire your body. Your body won't go to sleep if it's not physically tired. So tire it out. And that will help settle your mind, which will also help your sleep. Another one that I had to learn the hard way back in the day was, and this is not for everybody, but caffeine. So I am super sensitive to caffeine. When I was younger, I had to cut my caffeine off at 2 o'clock, and now I won't have any caffeine after noon. I'm not saying that's you. I'm just saying be mindful. I know people that can drink coffee and go to sleep 10 minutes later. If that's you, hua hua, I'm super jealous. But most of us can't. So be conscious of how much caffeine you're taking in. And also remember, caffeine and anxiety go hand in hand. Caffeine makes anxiety and ADHD worse, and it will interfere with a lot of people's sleeps. So be mindful of your caffeine intake. I think a lot of these, but it's still good to talk about. Screen time, we all know at this point, right? The blue light from screens. My recommendation is always to turn off screens an hour before bed. So, and I know you guys, there are going to be people that are like, fuck you. That's fine. You do you. But if you want to help with your sleep, you need a good hour with no TV, no phone, no Kindle Fire, no tablets, no any of that. I have like a Kindle e-reader, and to the best of my knowledge, because that's not a blue screen, that's a different lighting source, I'm pretty sure that's fine. Books are not bad. Meditating before you go to bed, if you're not going to use screens, listening to music, all that stuff would be useful. Sorry. So please, by all means, limit your screen time. Give yourself about an hour to get off. And I will also say, and this is another one I talk about a lot, but limit your social media. Irony, since I'm on Facebook right now. But I know for me, like if I go down those rabbit holes, and I tend to go down them at night more than any other time, of Reddit or Facebook or whatever those rabbit holes are, YouTube, like they can spin me up. And so even a few hours before bed, I need to be stopping that stuff, because otherwise they get my mind racing and then it's difficult to sleep. So really be mindful of whatever news media that you consume. And I think that's good for anxiety and depression, but also for sleep. So just be super cautious about that stuff. I know they sound like old wives' tales, but warm showers help relax you and relax your body physically to help you sleep. Warm milk, sciencey people tell me what it is. Some chemical gets released in warm milk that can get you help you get tired. I will say there are definitely over-the-counter. Melatonin's a common one. There's other ones. I'm not a doctor, so I'm not going to tell you over-the-counter. I will say, and I know people are going to be like, fuck you again. Don't drink do it if you need to, but drinking before bed, drinking alcohol is not going to help you sleep. It might help you pass out. It might help you be unconscious, but it's not going to give you good restful sleep. So if possible, avoid that. I'm not going to talk to smoking weed, because honestly I don't know what effect that has on sleep. I suspect it's similar to alcohol, but I don't know. So do your research, find that out. Other things that you can do would be, you can find a million of them: guided meditations, progressive muscle relaxations, and maybe in the future, if you guys want, I'll do some of those with you. Belly breathing, 4-7-8 breathing. Next week I'll do Calm Place. Calm Place is a nice thing to do before bed. There's all kinds of advice about if you can't sleep, get up or don't get up. I've done both. I've done all. It just kind of depends. Sometimes getting up is useful. Sometimes I can lay there and be still and fall back to sleep. So just be mindful and try whatever works if you're just laying there. I'll say for me right now, it's just killing me. Like I wake up in the middle of the night and I'm like, and I'm thinking about my clients, and I'm thinking about Facebook Live, and I'm thinking about all these things that I have no control over. and I can't seem to shut my brain off, which is really unusual. But I think that's what most of us are, or a lot of us are experiencing. I think for me, what I'm going to do is I'm going to have to hook up my my Bluetooth speaker, and I think I'm going to be have to put on like repeat. I'm going to have to put on classic. For me, it's classical music. Like I know the music that is soothing and then puts me to sleep. But I need something for my brain to latch onto so it doesn't keep running circles on those thoughts. So that's something else for you to do. Um, Sleep is difficult. And again, I'll tell you, I mean, I've done a lot of research. I've read everything I can about sleep and I still struggle with it. I think some of it is left over from when I was a crisis worker and I was always listening for the phone. That's really when this started. I think some of it, for me at least, is age and hormonal, and you can only do so much to combat that. One last thing I'll say is, and this is Melanie, the person speaking, although this is what I tell my therapists, if you do sleeping pills, please be very, very cautious. And I'm going to speak specifically to Ambien. And I'm not sure if I'm overstepping here, but I feel like it's important. I want to tell you my experience, not personal, but from stories I've heard, is that Ambien is horrific. I don't think it actually makes you sleep better. My understanding is that you don't retain your memories, so you don't realize that you're not sleeping. I've heard of people getting DUIs because they're driving in a blackout from Ambien. I know people have died from overdosing with Ambien accidentally. I've heard all kinds of stories of people waking up in the middle of the night doing random crazy shit because they're in a blackout from Ambien. So I would never tell anybody not to take something their doctor prescribes. I will say that sleeping pills scare me. I won't do it. You have to choose what's right for you, but please have an abundance of caution if you use them. All right, let me think. Okay, so I think that's it about sleep. We talked about COVID-19 grief. We talked about sleep. I think I'm going to give you those basics overalls to help just manage your daily mental health no matter where you are with all of this. So the first is, and I've already said this, routine, structure. Give yourself as much. I have a very weird routine in my life right now, but honestly, I love it. And I think, and for me, I learned this when I was in the Army back in the day, but structure and routine, no matter how loose it is, gives me a sense of security. And it gives me a sense of certainty. And we're all missing that feeling of security and certainty. So please have some loose structure, have some routines in your life. Do your best to wake up at the same time. Do your best to tend to your meals and eat at the same time every day. That's something else that can be difficult in times of stress. Please, please, please take your medicine at the same time and be consistent with your meds, right? So routines are nice. If you work from home or if you're doing school from home, and you guys in school, I'm so sorry for you. But if you're doing these things, then it's nice. Get dressed. Like, this is one of the things I love about Facebook Live because it means I have to comb my hair. I put on my stupid makeup that you can't even tell I wear. I'm wearing jeans and gym shoes. So get dressed. Do your work. If you want, I like to walk. So I used to, when I did work from home, my little walk was my commute. So I would commute in the morning by doing a short walk. And then I would put all my work shit away. And then I would do my commute. I go for a second walk. And that was like that was my way of saying I am at work. I am not at work, even though that I was at home. And again, cardio exercise will be excellent to help combat anxiety, stress, anger, grief, depression, all those things. So as much as you can, incorporate exercise into your life. What are some of the other things that I'll say? I need to speak to this really fast. Again, and I keep saying, be really cautious about what you let into your brain. Watch what news you're watching and consuming, because a lot of it's bullshit and a lot of it is just sensational, and all it does is upset and scare and sell. I don't care. I don't care if Republican, Democrat, I know I keep saying this, it doesn't matter. Fucking watch what you watch, because that can do the most harm that I can think of. Watch what you see on social media. Limit your time on social media. And I think it's important, like social media is important to keep us connected, but too much can still fuck with your head. And I have to speak to this. I've been very fortunate that a lot of the bullshit rumors and the scams and the blah 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 and this and that and the next thing, they haven't been infiltrating my life until just recently, but they're starting to pop up around me too. So if you read miracle cure discovered, $5,000 and you'll be safe forever. Or, I'm sorry guys, but drink water every 15 minutes and you won't get sick. The fuck is that? So if you believe that, I'm sorry if I'm upsetting you, but when you see these things, if it sounds too good to be true, and if especially if it's telling you how to live your life, go research it. Because I'm sorry, I get so angry because I think these things are really harmful, and I think most of them are bullshit. And it really upsets me that people are reading this and taking this as truth and causing themselves and people around them harm. So when you see this stuff on Facebook, research it yourself or ask for links. Like, oh, that is so interesting. Where did you read that? Please give me the citation. And I hope nobody gets mad at me for saying that. Somebody might, but we need to not be buying into bullshit, and we need to not be spreading bullshit. So please be cautious of what you're reading. Always remember to find citations or to do the research yourself, because so much of it is false, and that's just so damaging for everybody. And I'll tell you, for me, if I have people in my lives that consistently do that, then I won't unfriend anybody because I think that's mean. But I'll unfollow them if they're alarmist and if the world is ending and it's all, whatever the stuff is that's being said. If I keep seeing that, or if they keep texting it to me, I will either unfollow them so it doesn't come up in my Facebook feed, or I will say, please don't share that. So if they're texting it to me, please don't do that. And if they can't do that, then they need to stop, or I can't interact with them. So we get to set those boundaries for ourselves to keep us safe. And there's that too, right? A lot of people are like, I just want to get sick and I want to get it over with. I personally feel that that's irresponsible. And these are some of my friends, and I love you, and please don't hate me. You already know I think that's irresponsible. They get to believe and do what they believe, and they get to do what they do. And I'm not going to judge. I am judging them, but I'm not going to try and stop them. Sorry, but I'm not going to try and stop them. I respect their choices, but I have to do what I feel is best for me. So I have to do telehealth. I have to come into my office. Some people would think I'm stupid for doing that. I think it's a minimal risk. I'm doing it for my mental health. I need to come into my office on a regular basis. I don't see other people. Hi, Jeff. And if I were to say, come in, if you want to come in for sessions, that's fine. I'll see you face to face. If you felt it wasn't safe, then just say no. And you're going to maybe upset people. You're going to maybe, it's going to be super scary and uncomfortable. But very much, I want you to do what is best for you and what you feel safe. And none of us get to choose what is right or wrong for anybody else. We have no fucking roadmap for this, right? So we just have to make the best decisions we can and respect everybody else for making the best decisions they can. It's that simple. It's not easy, but it's really simple. So please keep yourself safe and allow other people to make those decisions for themselves. I want you to remember, and I started to post this, but it was a really bad picture, whatever. But this shall pass. It will pass. We will get through this. We will get to the other side. At some point in our collective futures, this will be a bad memory. And some point way far ahead of the time, this will be a footnote in history. This is temporary, and this shall pass. In the meantime, when you really feel flooded or you really feel spun out by the uncertainty, do your best to bring yourself right back to this moment. Right here, right now, I am safe. Right now, I am healthy. Right now, I have a roof over my head, I have food in my refrigerator. Right now, me, my friends, my families, my clients, my loved ones, we are okay. We don't know what it'll be tomorrow, but right here in this moment, we are okay. And I think it's super important to remember that sometimes. So as much as you need to, come back to right this moment. I'll give you one more thing, and then we'll do container for those that want to do it, and I will teach it for everybody that's new. So I think at this point, the vast majority of therapists are doing telehealth. I will say that you have to have a therapist that is licensed in your state. I think some therapists are playing loosey-goosey with that. That's on them. I'm only licensed in Illinois. I will only see clients in Illinois. I'm absolutely accepting new clients. I absolutely am only doing telehealth at this point. And if I am not a good fit for you, then and you want to find a therapist, first we're putting together a real spreadsheet with therapists in our area that are taking clients, that are doing sliding scale, all these things. So look for that. That should be available on my Facebook page, and please spread that as far and wide as you can. I'll say there's another Google Doc. I said this yesterday because it's bullshit, from U of I, that only lists 2 group practices in our area. They won't add anybody else to it. Several people have asked. They're like, fuck you, no, this is good enough. I want you to know there's a lot more people. Always you can check Psychology Today. Always at this point you can do telehealth. I will also say recently they've said we're not going to prosecute for not HIPAA compliant telehealth services, which means therapists can now use Skype or FaceTime or any of these things. I want you to be aware of that. I'm not going to say you should do HIPAA compliant. I want you to understand that if you do Skype or some of these other non-HIPAA compliant things, there is a risk for your personal data to be breached. Most clients don't care about it. I tend to care about it more than my clients, but I just want you to have that understanding, because it makes me uneasy. I would never not be HIPAA compliant for my clients. It makes me uncomfortable. But if you're fine with it, and that's the only way your therapist can do telehealth, fuck it, who cares, right? Because at this point it's okay. It's not legal. They're just not going to prosecute, is what they said. Okay, so if you need a therapist and you need telehealth and you're in Illinois, hit me up. And if it's not me, and I'm fine with that. Like, you can be like, bitch, you seem nice, but you're not my therapist because you cost too much. That's fine. I have no issues with that. Like, I promise you, I will not take it personally. You need help linking with a different therapist. I have so much time right now. I'm happy to help you guys. Whatevs. It's okay to need guidance. It's okay to need support. It's okay to need a therapist at this time. This is, none of us, nobody living has ever witnessed anything like this. So if you're struggling, that is fine. It is, I think, normal to struggle right now. I think that's it. If you have questions, comments, things you want me to talk about, again, I put my information in the comments. Please hit me up with anything. I love feedback. I won't even lie. Like, you don't have to, don't feel obligated. But when I get the messages saying thank you and this means the world to me, it makes me smile for the rest of the day. So I'm open to that also. But you don't have to. I won't be live tomorrow because I'm a dumbass and I'm moving my office. Keep me in your thoughts because it's just going to be stressful. I will be live again Friday at 12:15. I'll create the event, the whole 9 yards. Please, if you know people that need this, let them know that I'm out here doing this. It helps me. It helps you. Oh, that's the other thing to do for yourselves is go be of service. Family Services in Champaign is compiling a list of seniors that you can call and chat up to keep them company. That will get you out of your head and it'll help them. So go find ways to help people because it makes all of us feel better when we do that. And now we're going to do container again. So container is an EMDR exercise. EMDR uses bilateral stimulation, BLS, in a lot of ways. It can strengthen positive things when we do memories. It can help turn memories flat. That's going to be the super, super short version of it. Hi, Rena. So we're going to do container. And again, I want you to sit up straight. I want you to be, strong but not stressed in your posture. Feet firmly planted on the ground, connected to the ground. We're going to interlock our thumbs. I gotta get my hair all the way out of the way. Sorry. Interlock our thumbs on the chest. And then the tapping. This is research based. I love research. I won't even lie. So the tapping is what we do as our bilateral stem, our BLS. When we're trying to strengthen positive things, we go nice and slow. Slow, slow BLS. Close your eyes if you want to. Don't close your eyes if you don't want to. I probably will. Because I don't know a way to teach anybody this exercise except for doing it ourselves, myself. So now I want you to imagine a container. It can be something you've seen in real life. It should not be something you see on a daily basis. It can be imaginary. It can be real. Some people I have somebody that has a lunchbox. I have safes. are very common. So be it like a small safe you keep in your house or a big safe, like you see on banks on movies. I have some really small, I don't know, it looks like an Apple product. It's some glowy white cube that fits in the palm of my hand. I don't know why, but that's mine. So your container can be anything you want whatsoever. So take a few moments and just imagine something. You want your container to be strong, super strong. And it should not be transparent because we're going to put icky stuff in there and we don't want to have to look at it. Or it can be transparent and then you can black it out, whatevs. It's your imagination, you can do whatever you want. Now, how big is your container? What color is your container? Is it hard? Is it soft? Is it pliable and stretchy? What kind of material is your container made out of? Is it hot, cold, neutral, room temp, soft, rough? Mine's kind of slick. It's like white glowy and it's kind of slick to the touch. And I think it's a little on the cool side. How do you open it? I want you to go ahead and open your container up. And now find something to visualize all the icky shit. I'm going to say this. We're not going to put COVID-19 in a container because we are not going to deny its realities. We are all going to take all the things that we're powerless over and put those in our container. So I'm stressed out about if the movers will show up tomorrow. Absolutely powerless over that. So I might put a picture of the movers, or I might have little figures of the action figures from my 2 men in the truck, right? So 2 men in a truck, little figures of them. And I'm going to go ahead. We don't want to think too deeply on it. We just want some visual representation. Post-it notes, envelopes, books. They're like little Mario movers. I don't know why. I'm going to put my little Mario movers and their little white truck in my container. Think of all the other things that we are powerless over. And put each one in your container one at a time. Now go ahead and close your container. Mine's like super sci-fi, so it just kind of slides shut on its own. And lock it. People use padlocks. I just run my finger across mine and it seals it shut. And then you are invited to use your imagination to float your container to my office. I've been telling people they can leave their container at the feet of my Buddha that's behind me. He is very strong and he is more than willing to hold on to your containers and to guard them for you. Okay. So that's the container. I will say, first, let's understand that I'm human, so some of the things I say are useful. I don't necessarily do. I think using the container every night before bed would be super useful. And maybe if I keep telling you guys that enough, I'll actually do it one of these nights, maybe tonight. So what I'd like to do is if we do 0 is no disturbance, 10 is as high as you can get disturbance-wise. Find that number where you're just like, I would say for me a 7 is probably too spun. So when I notice myself at a 6 or below, that is the time for me to do coping skills. For me, that might be breathing. I love belly breathing. I'm going to teach that sometime soon. I love this progressive muscle thing I teach. So breathing, it might be going for walks. I walked 8 miles yesterday because it was a stressful day for whatever, a variety of reasons. And so I just kept walking and walking. Container, progressive muscle relaxation, meditation, guided meditation. But notice what level of disturbance is too much. And then whatever that number is, when you get right below it, go ahead and practice one of these coping skills that you're learning or that you already have available. There's another nice thing. If you guys have coping skills that you think are amazing, please share them. I have somebody that says she has like a spreadsheet, right, of her routine, her activities that she needs to do every day. And so, and I don't know if it's literal or figurative in her head, but she's like, I must brush my teeth. She checks it off. I must take my shower. She checks it off. And that helps keep her structured. I love that. If you have other things that you find useful, please do those. And I will see you. Please share this. Share this with as many people as need this. I feel really strongly that this is something that our community these days isn't just Champaign-Urbana, although that's where I try to tend to first. But we're a global community right now. So share this with anybody that you think will find this useful. I will not talk to you guys tomorrow, but I will be back 12:15 Friday. Peace, stay safe, take care.